A numbers game on VSiN, the sports betting network.
Basketball season right around the corner, ready to tip off. VSiN experts have been hard at work tracking the latest player moves to help you bet smarter. Become a VSiN Pro subscriber today for as little as $9.99 for your first month. Get our all-new NBA betting guide featuring previews and power ratings on all 30 teams, best bets and futures from the VSiN experts, player prop and live betting strategies, plus senior NBA analyst JVT's favorite title bets, Kelly Bidlin, on in-game betting and more. Give yourself an edge this season. Get our all-new NBA betting guide along with a full month of VSiN Pro for just $9.99 at VSiN.com/subscribe. That's VSIN.com/subscribe. Of course, we highlight JVT there. We highlight Kelly. But the real brains and work behind the NBA betting guide, responsible for all 30 NBA team previews, that just tip of the iceberg, is Zach Cohen, everybody. He joins us now courtesy of the Progressive Guest Line at Betting on X on Twitter. Zach, coming up for air for the first time since doing this guide. How you doing, man?
I'm good. I just saw my kid for the first time yesterday. It's been good.
She's like 13 years old already. She's practicing for her bat mitzvah. It's amazing what you've missed. All right, Zach. Well, first of all, great job on that, man. I know it's a labor of love for you. Can you share? I don't want to give away the entire NBA betting guide. I don't want people to go and get it, obviously, at VSiN.com/subscribe. But give us a season long or two, if you would, that you feel strongly about.
I mean, I really like Ace Bailey to win Rookie of the Year at 15-1, and we just saw him play a very good game last night. I know it's preseason, but looks really good, kind of running off screens, knocking down jumpers. I think it's pretty clear that, playing in the NBA and playing specifically for Will Hardy is going to do a lot better for him than playing at Rutgers, where the spacing was just terrible. I mean, this is a player that was number 2 in the ESPN 100 coming out of high school. Definitely, the definition of a blue chip prospect. And, Utah did not get one of the top 2 picks in this draft, which meant not getting Cooper Flagg and not getting Dylan Harper. But I think they did really well to land Bailey and add him to their, very strong infrastructure. And now they get the chance to develop, potentially a world-class talent. And I think that he looked like that last night. And I think there's a very good chance he averages 17 or 18 points per game. And, as JVT mentioned in his column where he kind of went through some benchmarks for awards winning, that is a pretty good number for a Rookie of the Year.
I don't mean to bring things down, but when I was a kid, this has nothing to do with anything you're saying, but you say Ace Bailey for Rookie of the Year. When I was a kid, there was a player on the Washington Capitals by the name of Ace Bailey. Same name. I always think of him when you say that. And Ace Bailey, you know how he passed away? He was in one of the planes during 9/11 attacks. Wow. Just happened to be a passenger. That's how he passed away. Anyway, sorry for that brief, horrible parenthetical aside.
That is a huge damper.
Yeah, I really apologize for that. But that's Ace Bailey, may he rest in peace. The previous Ace Bailey for Rookie of the Year in this case. All right, give us one more if you would.
Yeah, and then Kelly keeps making fun of me. I like the Grizzlies over 39.5 wins. And that kind of goes back to last year. This was a 48-win team. I think they were elite offensively. They fell apart defensively, but I think that they are going to continue to be just a juggernaut on offense. I know that they traded Desmond Bane to the Orlando Magic, but they did about as good as you could possibly do at replacing him with a platoon of players, which includes Ty Jerome, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, and then their rookie Cedric Coward. Caldwell-Pope, if you remember last year, was supposed to be like the splashiest offseason signing for the Orlando Magic. It was adding the 40% three-point shooter that they think they're getting right now in Desmond Bane. And obviously Bane's a better player, but Caldwell-Pope is still a very good shooter. I don't really look much at last year and just say that he's a terrible shooter now. I don't think that's realistic. I think he's going to enter a much better offensive system, find his game again. I think Jerome, who was a borderline six-man of the year candidate last year, has a lot more to offer than what we saw in Cleveland, because his on-off numbers with Donovan Mitchell were unbelievable. Like, he looked the part of a borderline all-star when he got to run that show in Cleveland. So I think they did a really good job of just kind of filling in that shooting guard spot, and they still have so much talent with Jaren Jackson, Santi Aldama. It's a very good team.
Ty Jerome, who, for those who have listened to a numbers game long enough, we used to call him the official player of a numbers game when he was at Oahu with the Virginia Cavaliers winning the national title. He was part of that team that lost to UMBC as a 1 seed, right? And then the next year they win the national title. And a friend of mine dated his dad, and this guy is a basketball prodigy from like ninth grade. right? UVA signed him when he was like early high school, and now this is his fifth NBA team, as you said, after a great year with the Cavaliers last year. So I hope he becomes a key cog in the Grizzlies' wheel. We should clarify, Kelly's making fun of you because you are just bullish about the Grizzlies, period, in general.
Yep.
Yeah, no,
yeah.
I'm just constantly making fun of Zach all the time about everything.
About everything.
I'm not. They've got some injuries heading into the season. I'm just not quite as bullish. I understand where it's coming from, though. A lot of good teams in the West.
All right, Wuhan. That's where the ladies' tour is on the tennis tour. You do have a play for stateside. What is late night tonight? What do you got?
Yeah, I have Katerina Siniakova plus 1.5 sets against Jessica Pegula. And then I'll also sprinkle a little bit of the money line, which is like plus 185. I will write that up at vsin.com shortly after we get off this. But really, it's just Siniakova's on fire. I mean, she's looked like the best player in Wuhan so far, which is a little crazy for somebody that's not even in, the top 50, but she does go on these runs sometimes where her ball bashing is just unbelievable, very difficult to stop. She's a good server when she is kind of rolling. She can be a little erratic with the serve, but this is one of those weeks, and I just don't really see it ending with a straight set loss if it ends at all tonight. So Pegula came off a really good win against Alexandrova last night, did not, let herself get too down after going down 5-2 in that opening set. But I think Siniakova's got a really good shot.
This has been the fall of Katerina Siniakova. I mean not the fall, the autumn, I should say, of Katerina Siniakova, because people think I've been down. She has been unbelievable. Her data is incredible. I've hit on her at least 3 or 4 times here on this run. So she's been awesome. And Pegula, yes, taxed in this tournament, right? Everything's a 3-setter.
Yep.
So that's not a good recipe here against Siniakova. So Siniakova plus 1.5, the official play from Zach.
Yep.
All right, to the National Football League, Week 6. Let's start with tonight's game between the Eagles and the Giants. What are you thinking about this one?
Yeah, I put a weird play in for tonight just because I kind of wanted some action. I took the Eagles money line with Jalen Hurts to throw for 150 plus and AJ Brown to have 40 plus receiving yards. So it's a same game parlay. It's not, the type of crazy odds you normally see with these. It was like minus 121. But realistically, we have the Opta AI player projections at our website now. They love the over on Jalen Hurts' normal number. I ended up just taking it down a little bit to 150, and I feel like it's going to be hard for him to have a good game without A.J. Brown doing at least something, a big play down the field or two. So that's where I landed at with that. But I do think that this is a matchup where I'd be very surprised if Philadelphia loses. I know that this has been kind of an overrated team to start the year. Actually, I guess we all properly rate them as a little bit of frauds. But I do think that this Giants team is close to the bottom of the league in both EPA per play and EPA per play allowed. I think that Jackson Dart looked awful against New Orleans last week, and this Eagles defense is definitely better than that New Orleans defense.
Let's just say it's just you and me talking here, Zach, and nobody's listening. Give me an honest assessment of the Opta AI projections. Pretty good?
They are pretty good. I mean, I had, questions about them when we first started doing it because there's like 50 to 70 plays every week. And I'm like, how could they possibly win all of them? But they keep reporting back with, winning numbers. So even with all of that volume, you're mostly getting winning picks. And they did nail Trevor Lawrence to go over his passing yards against the Chiefs on Monday. So I have been using it. I've also been using the wide receiver cornerback tool a lot. I think that thing is awesome where you kind of get the matchups with which wide receiver is going to be going against which cornerback, and it rates the success percentage of those guys. So that's one that I've been using a lot as well.
All right. Did they have did Opta AI have Trevor Lawrence scoring a touchdown as a newborn horse? That last one? I love that. I love that description.
Yeah, they did. They said he would fall down 3.5 times.
Yeah,
and you'd get
that's right. Okay, to the weekend in the National Football League. What did you land on Sunday? Where did you land?
So I ended up playing just a bunch of player props so far. I'll probably end up adding some, sides and totals. But the one that I really liked was Quentin Johnston over 55.5 receiving yards against the Dolphins. And I also took him to score a touchdown at plus 175. I mean, if you just look everywhere, anybody that has explosive plays against has Miami with the number 1 in the league. Has allowed a lot of big plays. That has been Johnston's calling card this year. I mean, Herbert is taking a ton of shots down the field to him. I could see him having, a 30, 35-yard catch in this game and just putting a huge dent in that 55.5 number, which is a number that he has gone over in 4 of the 5 games they played so far this season. So I'm a little shocked that we're at this point with Johnston. I mean, he looked so bad to start his NFL career, but now he's like a jumbo Deshaun Jackson just making these giant plays down the field, and he's hauling in everything. So I'm willing to take it.
Quentin Johnson out of TCU with the word bust was being whispered, maybe more than a whisper from a lot of people there in his early days of the National Football League. Anything else before we go with the NFL? One more?
Yep, I'm going back to a Bryce Young prop. Last week, I had the over on his passing yards, and I happened to throw for 2 touchdowns. He did not hit the passing yards, but I'm going over 221.5 against Dallas, and I'm also taking that 1.5 passing touchdowns at plus 120. I just think that this Cowboys defense has shown they can't stop the pass. I mean, even last week against the Jets, once Justin Fields started throwing in the second half, it was very easy for him to move the ball. If it's a similar game script where the Dallas goes up, very early and Carolina needs to throw, that's fine with me. I think that Young ends up having a big day in the box score.
Zach Cohen, author of the NBA Betting Guide. Zach, great job, man, on it all. Appreciate it.
Thank you, guys.
Zach Cohen, everybody. Right here on A Numbers Game. Tim Murray on college football on the other side. Right here at VC.
A Numbers Game on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Back on the Numbers Game, live from Circa Resort Casino, downtown Las Vegas. The majestic, beautiful Circa Sportsbook. Look at that thing behind us, Kelly. Look at that thing.
Majestic.
It's Derek Stevens' Shangri-La. It's a beautiful thing.
Guess what? If you want to watch the show live, you kind of can by sitting out there. Just come down to Circa.
That's right. That's how you can watch us
Maybe
live.
request from the desk to switch the volume over to VSiN.
I should add that.
And then you could sit all by yourself.
When we say all the ways to take us in at the beginning of every hour, I should add that. I should be like, the Circa Sportsbook if they have us on.
Come down here and watch.
We get tweets at Beating the Book. James NTU 89. Sad to see Kershaw get lit up like that. Hopefully he has some redemption later. His legacy means more to me than a World Series title, to be honest. Go Dodgers. His resume, regular season wise, is unassailable. Just a Hall of Famer, period. Any which way you slice it. The postseason stuff has not been fun. That he will have that as a sort of addendum right after the ampersand, not after the what do you call the et cetera, the ... What do we call that again? I can't remember.
Ellipses.
Ellipses. Thank you. That would be like, but the postseason didn't go so well. DJ Jams. Hey Gil, have you heard of this event yet? I wonder if the books will book it. Oh, the Six King Slam. This is like six top. This is the funny season of tennis. You got like Djokovic, Sinner, and Alcaraz, and a few others, including Tsitsipas. How did he get in that group? Going to Saudi Arabia to play an exhibition. Yeah, I don't know if they'll book that. Jaco Bellis. Is Kelly Bidlin's Super Sharp Parlay going to be a new segment? Scott, New York Best 16. Gil, do you think Detroit-Seattle's late game because it's a definitive elimination game as opposed to a Game 4 that could lead to a Game 5? I do, actually. D-Gen, Southern Gen. I'd imagine, plus there's only going to be one American League game, right, on that day. So it's a standalone. D-Gen, Southern Gen. I'd imagine you guys were locked in on the actual games last night, so you may have missed the Freudian schlip just seconds into VSiN primetime last night from your former counterpart, Matt Brown. Didn't phase him. Y'all would have been proud. Uh-oh, what did he say? Yeah. Did he try to pronounce Schlittler? Didn't come out right?
Sounds like it. But I'm not even going to try. But dude burned Matt Brown and Dave Ross this postseason. Whew. Those are two pros right there.
Oh, he did?
Yeah,
both of them?
Yeah.
Oh, Dave Ross
got
had a problem?
too in the morning, yep.
There's two ways to botch Schlittler.
See, this is where Gil really leads into it. I just avoid. It's that Yankees pitcher.
You can botch the first part of it, or you can go former German Third Reich leader. Like,
yes,
there's two ways to botch it.
It is very true. Yes, there is two ways.
It's a minefield, that name. Tim Murray joins us. That's a much easier name to say. Tim
Yes.
Murray at one Tim Murray. He is the host of multiple VSiN shows, VSiN Primetime, VSiN's College Football Tailgate Show, VSiN College Football Betting Podcast. What doesn't he do? He joins us now from his lair somewhere on the... Where are you right now, Tim?
I just don't like the lead-in. The last thing that you're going to mention before bringing me on is the man who terrorized the world in the 40s. I'd rather not have that, but
Yeah, well, trust me. Hurts
Yankees
me more than it hurts you, believe me. Trust me.
Where am I? I'm in my office, baby. With my office, just a stone's throw away from the Raiders facility here in lovely Henderson, Nevada.
His office, baby. Makes it sound much sexier than it is. Let me just ask you this before we get into your picks and stuff, Tim. Last week, you're a guy who follows college football closely. You do so for many, many years. I know it's not a grand stage, right? UCLA, Penn State. So obviously not based on the stakes involved. But in terms of just out of the blue in-season upsets, where does that rank for you?
Well, I think it ranks pretty high. And, I heard a lot of people talking this week about Notre Dame's loss to Northern Illinois. And it's fair to bring it up. And Northern Illinois was actually a bigger underdog than UCLA was. But I think the thing that was so astonishing was just how putrid UCLA had been. This is a team that obviously not only fired their head coach, fired their offensive coordinator the week of the game against Penn State. Rick Neuheisel's son, Jerry Neuheisel, said he really didn't start, making the game plan until early in that week. He joked that he was worried about, what right buttons to press in order to talk to the quarterback on Saturday. So I think if you take a step back, Gil, and you go back to preseason expectations of Penn State and then how UCLA had played so far, I mean, it's got to be one of the more stunning results we've seen in recent memory. And I would even say more surprising than Northern Illinois beating Notre Dame, because Notre Dame was in a massive letdown spot. And you could argue Penn State was too, losing to Oregon. But UCLA was a team that, I mean, their win total, guys, was 1.5 juiced under, I should say, heading into that game. And they pulled off this stunning upset. So it's up there. I mean, it is a massive, massive result. And for Penn State, a team, guys, that was around minus 300 to make the playoff preseason, they're now a 6-1 to make the playoff because they still have to play Indiana. They have to go on the road to Ohio State, on the road to Iowa. And after you lose a game like they did this past weekend, it feels like any game now they could potentially trip up. Penn State, by the way, 0-5 ATS so far this year. They got off to that very easy start, soft start to the schedule, and now here they are 3-2 with losses to Oregon and then the stunner of all stunners last weekend.
Yeah, I agree with you that this was more shocking than the Northern Illinois Notre Dame game, because the Northern Illinois Notre Dame game was earlier in the season. You could have chalked that up to just, season just barely started. And Northern Illinois did not establish themselves as, to use your word, as putrid a team as UCLA had. I think that was more shocking this week. Of the marquee matchups this week in college football, and there are a few of them, I'm curious which one resonates with you the most. Let's give you a couple options. Ohio State, Illinois, where the Buckeyes are still more than 2 touchdown favorites. Alabama, Mizzou is perhaps the one. Alabama's a 3-point favorite. And then Indiana, Oregon, not to be outdone, which could be a battle for the Heisman in that one. Which one do you like the most?
Of those three, I think the last two that you mentioned are just wildly fascinating. Indiana, I'll say real quickly, I don't have a bet on Indiana, Oregon, but a couple of cliff notes on this one. Obviously, Kirk Cignetti, what he's done since getting to Bloomington is incredible. And this team is better than last year's team. So, I certainly will bring it up as we discuss this game as a reference point that Indiana, as an underdog under Cignetti, 2 losses, 2 non-covers against Ohio State and Notre Dame a year ago. But this team's better. They've got a better quarterback. They've got a pro quarterback. I know Rourke got drafted, but Fernando Mendoza may be a first-round pick. I mean, he is a very unique talent there for Indiana, and they have playmakers. But the reason I'm not betting it is because I think this Oregon team is continuing to be a little bit undervalued. This was the team of the big 3, as I put up the air quotes, big 3, Penn State, Ohio State, and Oregon, was thought kind of to be the third of the bunch. And that has obviously been proven inaccurate because of the way they've played. And I've been impressed by what I've seen from Dante Moore. So I think that's going to be a great one. But let's go to Columbia, Missouri, because I think this game, from a situational standpoint, is so advantageous to Missouri. Missouri's coming off a bye, and let's be honest, they're coming off back-to-back byes. They played UMass 2 weeks ago, then they had the bye week, and now they get Alabama coming in. Alabama, on the flip side, guys, they go on the road to Georgia in an absolute slugfest. They get that win, hold on, and then last week they play Vanderbilt in a game where you get a late touchdown to get the cover, some window dressing, but that was a battle all 60 minutes. I mean, Vanderbilt had a couple of red zone turnovers. And now Alabama has to go back on the road. And let's not forget, too, next week, Alabama plays Tennessee, one of their hated rivals, in the third Saturday of October game where the winner always, smokes cigars in the locker room. So I think the question I have about Missouri here is that this is a elite running football team, as we've seen through the first handful of weeks. Ahmad Hardy leads the country in rushing yards, guys, but the discrepancy in strength of schedule is vast. Missouri is, I believe, 109th in strength of schedule in FBS, and Alabama's top 5. So, what kind of stands out here? I think there is a rogue 3.5. I took a very early number on Missouri. I think 3.5, 3 or better is the look for me on Missouri against Alabama.
Tim Murray on the Harvard of Boone County, as Ben Wilson calls Mizzou.
That's right.
On the Tigers there in that tilt. Okay, your favorite bet of the week is?
I'm going to go Texas. I'll believe it when I see it, when John Mateer steps on that field. I think there's a lot of gamesmanship. I know there's some weird stuff coming out of Chipotle's in Norman saying that John Mateer is going to play, and maybe he will. But if he plays, guys, how healthy is he going to be? And I know Texas has been one of the biggest disappointments of the college football season, maybe the biggest disappointment of the college football season. But you're talking about a game of the year line that was 10, a look-ahead line that was 3.5, a team that was at once upon a time, a favorite at Ohio State, and now we're getting them as a pick on a neutral against a team that might be playing their backup quarterback. Great defenses in this game. There's a reason the total's at 43. I think this is the buy low spot on Texas. Hook 'em, baby, against Oklahoma.
You're gonna have to make Arch play a little better, though, man. It has been tough to watch. But I hear
Michael Hawkins ain't much better.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying. I hear what you're saying about the line, though. Through time here. Thank you, Tim. Appreciate it, man.
See you guys.
Tim Murray, everybody. We'll come back. Teasers, and then Jonathan Davis on hockey next.
The numbers told the story. They always do.
It's one of those idiots who believe in analytics.
This is a numbers game with Gil Alexander on VSiN.
That's me, one of those idiots. Believes in analytics. Gil Alexander, Kelly Bidlin. It is a numbers game at VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. It's the Sports Betting Network. VSiN.com, Game Plus, iHeartRadio, YouTube TV, and of course SiriusXM channel 158. And as we learn, you can just throw headphones on in the old sports book and check it out.
That'll work.
Yeah, they don't usually run the audio. Still to come, Joe Pita this hour in studio. Looking forward to that. Jonathan Davis in studio on hockey. And Bill Krackomberger. Let's not bury the headline. Bill Krackomberger as well. Unscripted with the Crack Man. You and your big shot airlines. So he said that was as close as I came to losing it last week when he said that. More than anything. I don't know why that landed on me so funny.
Because it was a great line, yeah.
You and your big shot airlines. As people in 34B by the bathroom are chirping at him on an American flight, like you're doing any better. We get tweets at Beating the Book. David Buskey, I hope I'm pronouncing that all right. He says, what about the hungry aspect of Barkley back in New York? Diggs just went off in Buffalo. Thoughts? Well, I mentioned he had 176 yards against his former team when I was talking about it earlier. Last year he had that output. So, yeah, there's always that. This one in New York itself, so there's always that angle. But, I don't necessarily go full bore into those kind of narratives.
I mean, look, to me, there's always a little something to that, but it's how much more does that actually mean carries-wise? It's hard to quantify. And I don't know about you, Gil, but it also means more to me when it's that first time back.
That's correct.
They're in division now. Saquon's going to be playing the Giants fairly often.
That's right. How many times, pardon me, how many years are we going to talk about stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
Shooter McGamlin. I've avoided teasers this season due to the pricing. There's a few legs I love this week, Detroit and Seattle. I'm thinking about 3-team 10-point teasers, but 11.5 and 12.5 aren't really key numbers. Not asking you to give away the formula, maybe just a yay or nay. I'm just going to say this once again. There are people will have their too cool for school card, and they will tell you, you shouldn't be betting these under any circumstances. Yeah, you should. Based on, again, push conversion charts being different than they used to be, certain of these actually are plus EV, generally speaking. Prime time.
Well, and specifically with that one, I'd point out, Gil, if you're talking about betting a 3-team 10-pointer at the same shop as you're trying to avoid a 6-pointer at, the numbers just as bad or just as good at the same shop.
Primetime, Cowboys_Cubs1. Yo, I'm sorry. As a fan of America's Cubs, I hope LA destroys the Phillies and the Giants kill the Eagles, making us wait till 8:08 local time to watch our beloved team just so the worst fans on earth don't have to process 2 games at once. Blank Philly. Peace and love. He didn't say blank.
That's awesome tweet. I'm going to put the Jensen spin on it, though. You guys are in prime time. You're the big baseball game tonight.
Prime time. This is from, and I don't know if these guys heard the interview yesterday with Dean Sisson from ProfitX. Grant at Betting X Factors. He says, I follow the stocks deeply. DK and FanDuel have had big pullbacks in the last weeks as prediction market sites like Polymarket and Kalshi have taken off with help of partnerships like being on Robinhood. To be determined how it plays out, government SEC monitoring. Yes, Grant, we talked about that yesterday. I'm all about everything you just said. Derby Day. Prediction markets impacting DraftKings and FanDuel as their stocks are down 28%, 18% respectively over the last month. DraftKings handle declined 8.9% from NFL Week 3-4, while Kalshi handle was up 31%. Combine that with lower juice parlays, nationwide access, expect legal action. Again, I love when folks throw back exactly our conversation from yesterday. Guys, here's the thing, and I just want to say this. I am trying to be cagey about what I say, because just between you and me, hope nobody else is listening, Nevada hates me. So I gotta pare this back a little bit. But in the case of DraftKings and FanDuel, obviously goes beyond Nevada. But yes, for those who missed it, Kalshi, $80+ million handle on one game. It's all these Robinhood accounts. It's insane what's happening.
Wild.
These are not sharp sports bettors. These are just traders who just going crazy. Yep. Larry Fresh, that's the best way to watch the show in the sportsbook with headphones because they never have the sound on for you guys. Yeah, anti-Semitism. Big O ATX, yo, Gil, Horns fans here, and admittedly, Arch hasn't been good, but more of the issue has been the terrible O-line play. Arch is running for his life. We give free passes to NFL quarterbacks, Burrow, Stroud, et cetera, for crappy O-lines. I think Arch deserves better. Hook him. Yeah, you're right to an extent, but if you watch Arch, like what's with the angle, his arm angle when he throws some of these? Just a little off. If only he had people in his family that might be able to tutor him on some of this stuff.
Yeah, you'd think that would help.
No. Anyway, Big O, he could still end up being great, but so far it's been a little dicey. Ready to do some teasers?
Let's do it.
Teaser time.
It's teaser time.
He says it better than I do.
That's right.
All right.
Great Ryan Hunter.
5 Wongers. We got 5 Stanford Wong legs this week against Stanford Wong. Real name, John Ferguson. Back in the day, isolating the most traditionally best in terms of plus EV, teaser legs. Home and road dogs of plus 1.5 to plus 2.5, teased up through the 3 and the 7. And then home favorites of between 7.5 and 8.5, teased down through the 7 and the 3. So
yeah, I might have thrown a couple road favorites on there this week.
Well, look at you. You did. You threw in a couple non-Wongers.
There's always the Kelly creative liberty here, okay?
Kelly poetic license.
That's right.
He added the Eagles at the Giants tonight. Eagles are 7.5-point favorites. And the Rams, 7.5-point favorites at Baltimore. Broncos, 7.5-point favorites in London Town. Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. 7.5-point favorites against the Jetropolitans. And then Seahawks are 1.5-point dogs at Jacksonville. Lions are 2-point dogs at KC. All right, Kelly Bidley. I think it's
a great teaser week. I've got a few.
Okay. You got a few? I was going to say, what's your favorite?
I've got Seahawks Lions. I've got Seahawks Lions already, and then I have a 3-teamer on Seahawks Lions Rams. I put in at open. I think I will be leaving I got enough on the Lions this week. There's a potential that I add more to Rams Seahawks, but I'm waiting. Kind of like our Survivor conversation. I don't feel any need to rush to add to that right now. I'm going to see how these practice reports, injury reports go the next couple of days with the Ravens, but like we talked about with Survivor, if that injury report's looking a lot like it did last week, that will absolutely be a leg I will be buying back into.
I think my favorite is Lions-Eagles. Even though I have the Giants plus the points, that's the one I would feel most comfortable with. The Eagles down, they're not losing to the Giants, are they? And then the Lions up.
Dude, I don't know, man.
I don't think they are. Again, the biggest thing with that game, just hearkening back again, is think about all these quarterbacks the Eagles have played.
Mm-hmm. No, I hear you.
And now you're getting Jackson Dart. Like that, I mean, how many points can we really expect the Giants to score tonight?
I mean, and I'll go the whole, what's the best unit out there? It's Eagles defense, right? And you're still going up against a rookie quarterback, so
like talking myself out of my plus 7.5.
Right. You're doing a good job of that.
I can't. It's like
you keep making me feel better about my under, though, so I appreciate
already
that.
in the account. That's what happens with my. But this is the thing, right? This is why we do guessing lines. First reaction, and then the rest of the week to sort of doubt it.
Yeah.
Come up with every reason not to like it.
I do think there's a couple others on the board, too, if you're looking for some other teaser legs.
Yeah,
like,
go to a we take your sharp card teaser.
Right, yeah. I will. So, first of all, Seahawks, Jags, monitor. There's not many 1.5s out there anymore, so sorry if I did that. There's also not many 7.5s on the Eagles. Like Gil said, top of the show, it is mainly 7s. But just in case you're stuck, I wanted to put those out there. There's a couple of those 4.5s this week that are interesting to me, Gil. If you wanted to include in a 6-point teaser, maybe you think this is the Dolphins' last stand. You want to take them from 4.5 up to 10.5. I think that could work. One of the ones on Monday night that's got me intrigued, that you're not going to be intrigued by, Bears up to 10.5 possibly. If you wanted to take the 4.5,
I don't find that intriguing at all.
I would see Bills Falcons is 4.5 too, but like we talked about it, I don't know if you feel differently about this. I am so up in the air right now on this Falcons team. Like I couldn't rush to say jam them in something. I don't know that there's a team I've got less of a feel for than this Atlanta Falcons team. And it does help that they've played one less game than most teams. But
what number of teams? Did you bring that up with the Falcons? What number of 32 NFL teams? Give me the number of teams where you feel similarly about as you do with the Falcons, where you have no handle on them whatsoever.
Well, I almost think there's nothing to the degree of the Falcons, right? But now I'm just looking down the list. Steelers, I think you could throw on that list. Another one, though, they've played one less game. Panthers, I think they have to be on there still. I don't like Jags, Cardinals. I feel like I'm getting a better idea for here these past couple weeks.
I thought when you were going to go, when we said, take away your sharp card teaser legs, I thought the first thing you were going to say is the Steelers through a 0, right?
No.
Because
I wouldn't do that.
But again, Steelers is your most considered right now the leader in the clubhouse for your survivor, right? Which I agree with because again, and Cleve TA pointed this out before the season even started. That's the worst scheduling spot we can ever remember.
It's as worst I can ever remember. Yep.
Cleveland Browns coming from London. Remember, the team has the choice whether or not they take a week off afterwards. And Kevin Stefanski and the Browns said, no, we're going to play the next week. And the Steelers are coming off a bye, and it's at Pittsburgh. I mean, it's just...
How much do I care about that spot, Gil? Well, I just told you the Steelers are still on that list of I don't really know how good this team is, so...
Well, here's the thing about the scheduling stuff. If the Browns win this football game with Dillon Gabriel, given all that we just talked about, we should probably never talk about scheduling spots ever again.
Yeah.
Maybe not ever, but we should probably mute...
I would still say it's one game.
We should probably mute the discussion a little bit.
By the way, another team I guess I should bring up playing tonight, the Philadelphia Eagles. I don't know how anybody could look me in the eyes and tell me they've got the perfect number on what the Philadelphia Eagles should be right now.
Oh, yeah. For all the reasons we stated.
Everything we talked about earlier, right?
The defense, again, against really good quarterbacks and really good offenses, still really good. The offense, not good at all. So it's a tough team.
By the way, I made a Steelers bet too. I made a Steelers division bet this morning.
To win the division.
Plus 115. This is all with the design though that I'm probably buying on the Ravens at some point.
Will Hill has been talking about that Pittsburgh to win the division for a few weeks now.
Yes, I only got plus 115, but you got the Browns this week, the Bengals next week. Meanwhile, the Ravens have the Rams and then a bye. So I think there's a good buyback point on the Ravens.
All right, Kelly, it's been nice knowing you.
See ya.
Jonathan Davis
Go to lunch.
On the NHL. Next, followed by Joe Pita and Crackman.
A numbers game on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Back on a numbers game, live from Circa Resort Casino, downtown Las Vegas. Gil Alexander, Joe Pita, kind enough to join us in studio. Acting like I just saw you for the first time this morning, but that's not really the case. We saw each other yesterday, the day before. Watching the Phillies and Dodgers yesterday. So just to clarify, you like the Phillies tonight, but you're not quite there on the Phillies plus 290 adjusted series price. You don't like
I'd rather take that game at a time.
Rather take a game at a time. Okay. Brewers, Cubbies. Anything on this game tonight?
Lean to the Cubs, really based on that defense. You know, that's where I had the edge of the whole series was the Cubs convert batted balls into outs better than anyone in the majors this year. And the team that's number 2 was Toronto, and that's something to talk about going forward. So lean on the Cubs tonight.
Let's drill down it, because whenever you talk about converting outs, converting batted balls into outs, this is one of your staples from when you and I used to handicap baseball on a daily basis in the mid-teens and all throughout the last decade. You believe we botched something.
Yeah, we should. Gil, it's right. I opened the model now. I was traveling the last 3 weeks. I opened it up for the wild card games, got obliterated, which would be two postseasons in a row after really thinking I had an edge, in postseason ball. And
ESPN Chalk once famously
the perfect bracket in 2016, and that was an encore to having gone 8-1 the year before, picking every series before the entire playoffs started. So and we were all over, kind of consecutively, the Giants, the Royals, the Astros, and they did 2 things extremely well. They were sort of outliers versus the rest of the league. They on offense, bat-to-ball contact. They had lower strikeout rates, even as the strikeout rate was rising across baseball than all the other teams. And they converted batted balls into outs in a way that made their defense look even better. By the way, the Cubs in 2016 did that at a historic rate, than even the traditional advanced metrics did. And that brings us to this year's Toronto Blue Jays, who struck out less than anybody else.
That was their superpower.
And that negates one of the Yankees' biggest strengths. And at the same time, they turned batted balls into outs better than anybody this year, including the Cubs. Actually, they were number 2 to the Cubs this year. I think they were number 1 through the 3/4 mark. By the end of the year, the Cubs had passed them. And when you're getting the kind of odds that Toronto was, that's how we were always handicapping the Giants, the Royals as dogs. Now the Astros really weren't dogs in their run, but yeah, we shouldn't have missed that. I saw that Yankees offense, and I just thought, we know starting pitchers aren't going to throw as many innings this year, so that edge is lessened, and I botched it. I am not going to botch Toronto going forward.
Wow.
I will take Toronto, obviously, over Detroit, because I miss another series I'm not doing well in, because I've got Seattle and to win the series. And now I'm up against Skubal.
Skubal, you think he gets it done?
Well, I hope they get it done. The handicap was that we weren't going to get 2 Skubal starts.
Yes.
But I will take Toronto over either of the team that advances there. And could make for, I really hope now, I hope for a Joe Carter rematch. But that it's a longer shot. But I'm sure Toronto will be a huge dog to the Dodgers, and I think that price will probably be attractive based on those 2 attributes that team has.
Yeah, you hope Mitch Williams doesn't show up for that rematch?
Oh, shivers.
Yes. Yeah, if it is a Dodgers, let's project forward. If it is a Dodgers Blue Jays, or even if it's a Phillies Blue Jays, but particularly if it's a Dodgers Blue Jays, we could get, I was harking back to the 2003 World Series, the Marlins versus the Yankees, where that was actually, while people remember for the Nationals run as my saying, it's your obligation to bet the Nationals in this World Series against the Astros. Actually, the original obligation was the 2003 one, when it was the Marlins against the Yankees. They just kept feeding you price after price, night after night, where you're just like, this can't be right? Like, even the most casual would look at this, it's an obligation to bet the Marlins. And I wonder if the Blue Jays become that, where the price will be so out of whack. We'll see.
It'll be bigger than the Yankee series if they play the Dodgers.
For sure. Yeah. For sure. Yeah. Okay. By the way, if you had to, so is that your call? Blue Jays versus Dodgers? That's your instinct?
Because the Dodgers are up 2-1. Yes,
Okay.
I certainly would look forward to a Blue Jays Phillies series most of all.
Well, the betting market may not give you what you want, though, because besides obviously this has to do with the fact that the Blue Jays are through, though, right? The Blue Jays are already 1 round advanced past all these teams. That's why you see them as the second short shot here at plus 360. Everybody else still trying to get to where the Blue Jays are. Okay. We have more props. No, I thought we had more props.
Survivor, in case we move to Survivor.
Let's do Survivor. Okay. Now, unlike me, who's 6 and out, all in 1 week, even having diversified, you are in a great position. Explain where you are right now.
Yeah, I had 10 entries, 6 which I am managing, 4 which I have outsourced. I've got 4 of my 6 through, and my crew has 2 of their 4 through. I do not like to be in groups. I'm just not.
Doesn't play well with others.
Committees just don't play well with it. Committee decisions do not play well with me. So while I do control the 6 picks I have, we do have a big chat that all the 10 picks that we're involved with talk about, and I have to say it did help me because one of my buddies was on the Colts before the season started, and he was so adamant about it, and that was diametrically opposed to what my belief was. I think when I was on here in August, I told you I had an alternate play on the Colts under season wins.
I agreed with you.
Which I think might be eliminated next week.
So
dead wrong. And yet I would still have carried that prior, at least this far. And yet here I am last week thinking, they got me on the Colts on a pick and off the Cardinals. And that would, just from hearing them, just really the confidence that they've been projecting on the Colts. So, yeah, we isolated the Cardinals last week as the team we didn't want to be on, and then made all our picks, and obviously that worked out. I didn't want to lose the Bills. We both had a Bills left, and even though it knocked out 800 people, I would have preferred to have one of mine back and bring in those other 800 people. But, it's...
You don't do the I told you so's, though, I hope. You don't...
My God, no. In fact, we got... as you said it, that was the most improbable, painful survivor elimination probably ever. It was,
so bad.
Everyone should have advanced. The Rams should have advanced. Yes. The Cardinals should have advanced.
I should have 5 left.
You should.
But I don't.
Heard they made you do... Is it correct? They made you do an autopsy of your own death for the Circa documentary. Is that right?
Oh, they just happened to time it. It wasn't really that they made me. I willingly did it, but I committed to it before the weekend. So then I was like, oh, this is great. But what I was trying to point out in the documentary too is some of the things we don't talk about Survivor. Again, it's the greatest game, and Derek Stevens deserves all the credit for making it onto this grand scale with all of his little quirks to it, Christmas and Thanksgiving. But, a lot of people we don't acknowledge get saved by the fact that they don't have teams as an option, and that team then gets crushed.
Because some people did take Arizona earlier. That was in our case.
Was used.
I got to mention something else you just said. Can you imagine if speaking of Derek Stevens, can you imagine if you're the webmaster at ESPN and you're watching the site hits, the page hits, and you keep going back to your boss and saying, for some reason, there is an inordinate amount of hits on the November 26th and the December 24th schedule week of the NFL. Why are so many people clicking on that? Because I swear, Gil, I click on it every single week, even though I should have it memorized by now.
Isn't that funny how you don't really remember the matchups that easily? I remember the Eagles and the Bears during Thanksgiving, but none of the others. I guess Commanders, Cowboys too on Christmas. There it is, though. Again, this is not a historically, in the short 6-year span of Circa Survivor, this is only the 4th most knocked out by percentage through 5 weeks. Last 3 years, especially last year's the most ridiculous thing ever. 98.45% were already gone. Only 221 entries were left, and yet it got to the promised land. Some got to the end. So here's where it became stagnation mode. What are you thinking about this week? What are your candidates?
Yeah, I've got all the options really of all the kind of 7 teams that are 5 or more point favorites.
A lot of options.
It would be Green Bay playing Carolina at home in 2 weeks. Really, and knowing that so many people will take Green Bay, it halts me a little bit. So I think of my 4 that are left, we're going to have 2 on Green Bay, and I'm going to scatter the other ones. Right now, I'm leaning to Indiana and the Commanders.
Oh,
Indianapolis. And
why you got to make that face, Joe?
The Commanders. Well, because you're passing up a 14-point favorite.
Yes, you are.
And that's, you always have to question, why am I not taking free parking?
By the way, though, Grandissimo, we only have 20 seconds, but Grandissimo, they only have 16 entries left. That, if you were in that, imagine that calculus, because you're like, wow, if a 12 entries take Green Bay, I gotta take somebody else, right? Like if you're
playing for the pot.
Yeah, you're playing for the pot. They're down to the nitty gritty already. Joe Pita, everybody, at Magic Rat SF on Twitter. Joe, we'll see you for the Megapod in an hour. Well,
can't wait.
Can't wait. Joe Peta making his second Make a Pot appearance in 2 years. Crack is next. Unscripted with Crackman Bill Krackomberger. It's a numbers game right here at VSiN.